What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, we're doing a Super 7 for the mighty Cleveland, Ohio. And helping out, we're going to have Dan, Rob Moran, and Clevo. And so on this episode, you might be missing one, Mr. Ben Edge, a.k.a. Bedge. But Ben, you're helping out on another podcast, right?
Yeah, I'm actually subbing on a podcast called End on End, a podcore journey through the entire Discord catalog. So it's one of these podcasts where, each episode is about a different release by a record label. So this is Discord, and they've already gotten up to 1986. So I am going to be talking about Gray Matter. The record is called Take It Back, the Take It Back EP by Gray Matter from 1986 on Discord. And I'm actually subbing for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So there are more episodes on the way, and they come out on Mondays, just like 185 Miles South.
Yes, if you listen to this podcast and you're like, fuck, I need more hardcore talk after 2 hours or so of Cleveland, Ohio. And you're also like, man, Dan, Rob, and Clevo are all sick as fuck, but I need some Bedge. You got to head over and listen to End on End. Those episodes come out every Monday, just like this one, and check it out. Also, if you go to 185milessouth.com, I got some merch up. So there's beanies out now. And if you want to get a 185 beanie, you can handle business. I hate doing mail order. So I don't want to keep the store up for long. I'll keep it up for a couple weeks. So if you want one, grab it soon. Otherwise, that shit is coming down. And don't ever bother me for merch again. What's up with that? But if you want to support the pod, please subscribe to it wherever you listen to it. Also, please take the time to like it, rate it, review it wherever you listen to it. If you want to go the extra mile, you can go to patreon.com/185 miles south and become a monthly Patreon. These are the people that keep the podcast alive. $1 gets you behind the paywall, and we do bonus podcasts basically for every interview podcast. And have some buddies on. We talk about that interview, and we go through the catalog of the person that was interviewed. So check that out, and let's get on with the pod.
"185 Miles South", a hardcore punk rock podcast.
What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, we are doing Super 7 playlists for Cleveland, Ohio. What's up? Help me out. You know him. You love him. He is the man that is so bummed that Straight Edge is not on Spotify. It's Dan Sant. What's up, Dan?
You're right and wrong at the same time.
Yeah. Also helping out, it is Rob Moran from The Vows. What's up, Rob?
Hey, how are you?
Also helping out, it's a man who might have to change his name to Nashville if he doesn't win the Super 7 contest. It is Clevo from 10 Yard Fight and Stop and Think. What's up, Clevo?
Hey, what's going on? That's just a lot of undue pressure on me tonight.
Hey, you're the one with the name, dude. You know? So what are we going to do? Anyway.
I shall do my best.
That's all we can hope for. We're all going to try to do our best. I think this episode is either going to be great or it's going to be a total travesty. But we'll find out over the next 90 minutes or 2 hours. Daniel, can you explain to everyone what the Super 7 is?
Yeah, so what we do is we each pick a song going in order in a very fantasy football type way. So we've rolled some dice to see who goes in what order, and the order is going to be myself, Clevo, Rob, and Zach. I won. Straight Edge, I win again. And so what happens is I will take a song. It doesn't mean the band is off the band is out of business. You know, anyone can take other songs from that band, but that particular song is taken. And we go along and we try and get, you know, what we think is representative of the best Cleveland hardcore playlist. And then we later on post it for the listeners to have a vote on and stab me in the back.
Yeah. Yeah. And there'll be a playlist for the episode we'll put up on Spotify. You can find a playlist for every episode at 185milessouth.com and check that out. And we try to mostly pick stuff that's on Spotify so everyone can listen to it. But sometimes when you're going old, stuff's not on there. So we'll see what happens as we go on. But Daniel, you got the number one pick. So what is the greatest song in the history of Cleveland punk and hardcore? No pressure.
I know it's a lot of pressure, but the answer is obvious. The answer is unilaterally true. The answer is Those Who Fear Tomorrow. Misha! That's the number one pick. And if anybody else was in this position and didn't choose that, I question your credentials. What to say about this song? I mean, if you heard it playing down the street and you were like walking your dog, you pick your dog up and then jump through someone's window and just start moshing them. I think that's the best way to describe what this song makes you want to do. And the vocals on it are so good because the way Dwid delivers vocals can be anywhere from the most brutal, blah, blah, blah. But I think the thing that sets him apart from anyone else is when he does the, I'll take you down, one on one, and gets really low and guttural and then goes, don't know shit about me. Like, the way he goes up and down and whispery, and it's perfect. And the bass, once the Misha part is just, I mean, we were talking about potentially doing a Super 7 of like riffs, like recognizable riffs. That would be the one of the Mount Rushmore of hardcore riffs, just that bass. And it obviously influenced someone who's on this pod quite heavily, bass sound wise, this band.
Yeah, Rob, is that true? Did you try to capture this tone?
I was never really an Integrity fan, to be honest.
Oh,
what?
We're starting off this pod on a bed of lies.
Yeah, Daniel's correct. I mean, I think that, this song, it was definitely one of my top two from Integrity, but it encompasses everything you need to know about Integrity and the feeling you get when listening to Integrity. Like, that song has it all. It's angry, it's mean, it has despair in it, and just the end when he screams, "You motherfuckers!" Like, oh my god, it is so good. And yes, the bass tone was very influential in how I wanted to sound. I don't think I ever achieved that bass tone by any means. But that was something I always was influential on me as a bass player. Absolutely.
Well, this song also has one of those great, like, Integrity apocalyptic leads in it. It's so perfect, like, before it comes back into, like, the final verse. And Daniel did a great job of explaining how great Dwid's voice is, because he has so much range without ever, like, singing. Like, it's always going to be, like, brutal, but he can go from, like, a whisper to a yell, and he's got a lot of range in there.
It's always menacing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Always.
I think that, this album as a whole, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this album a couple more times tonight. So, but this album as a whole, I was thinking about it because I listened to a lot of the Integrity back catalog leading up to this. And, I ride pretty hard for all Melnick era Integrity. But this album, going from the demo and the 7-inch, which, is in hindsight is not great at the time. I thought it was everything when I first heard it, but this kind of bridges the gap towards getting into Systems Overload, where it starts and it's just like a solo straight through, Whereas this has the thing that jumped out to me is that this album just has an urgency to it. Like all the songs just are like just the way they come at you and they are powerful. And like, this album just starts off with yelling Misha after the sample and then the bass, and it just comes at you so heavy. But I think it kind of bridges that gap where it's still integrity, it's still really hardcore, but it's just taking those ideas from the 7-inch in the demo and just taking them so much further and doing so much more with them.
Yeah, and think about that 7-inch in the demo. Like you say, it's in hindsight not as good as what came forward, but only because we had what came after. If that band ended after the 7-inch, it'd still be legendary, and also what a signpost turner in hardcore this band is. Like after this, I mean, arguably hardcore goes metal on a major slant because of this band.
Yeah, and like a different kind of metal, though. I mean, not so much like the crossover metal.
Happening,
right? It's a different kind of metal. It took what Judge was kind of alluding to and made it even heavier, and it took kind of more of that Sepultura type of metal, and just made it brutal and heavy. It was great.
Yeah, and then added on the evilness that was coming out of like things like black metal and death metal without sounding alike it.
I think that this is still firmly rooted in that Judge Cro-Mags tradition, though, whereas you're going to see as they go on into Systems Overload, into the 10-inch, that it's like there's such a Japanese hardcore influence on them as they go forward, and I don't think that Japanese influence is on them at this point. I mean, it's still like without looking it up, I'm pretty sure this came out. Did this come out before or after like Wind of Pain? Because I think that there's going to be a lot of similarities kind of in those albums. But yeah, it doesn't really have, it's still really firmly rooted in hardcore. And I think it's as much as it's more of a metallic hardcore album, it's not as much of a metal record as they kind of get to in like Seasons of the Size of Days.
Yeah, this is 91. Wind of Pain is 92.
Yeah.
When is Wind of Change?
Wind of Pain.
Because that's metal.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, Clevo, because like to get influenced by something like Bastard, a year later, which is just raging hardcore, like at the same time they go more metal.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah, there is some of that like that vibe that comes into it. Anyway, this is a great first pick, obviously. And I believe, is it Clevo or Rob is next, Dan?
Clevo.
Let's go to you for your number one.
He won the roll off.
Oh, how about that? All right, Clevo, let's go.
So first off, because of the way that this is set up and because of the lack of stuff that's on Spotify, that actually wouldn't have been my first pick, Dan. My first pick, which I'm glad is still there, is Confront, One Life Drug Free.
God damn it.
It's the one Confront song on Spotify.
It's the only Confront song on Spotify.
Hey, but you don't have to pick Spotify necessarily. You don't have to go that way.
Either way, I'm trying to stick to it.
He's doing it for the people.
Yeah, but he's taking my goddamn pick.
This was on my list too, dude. So yeah.
I mean, I would assume that I was really worried that this was going to go before I had a chance to pick. So, Confront, for me, obviously, I'm Clevo. I'm from Cleveland. I got into hardcore when Confront was a band. Confront had a huge influence on me, with straight edge and with hardcore. And, this band was basically, for a kid in the Midwest in the 80s, this band was my Youth of Today. Like Youth of Today was, great and like super influential and everything to me, but like these were guys that I saw at shows. These are guys that I hung out with, and it was just really important to me, just a really important band to me to be like a straight up, straight edge hardcore, like a East Coast hardcore band that played in my backyard. So I owe a lot of my exposure to hardcore to them, and I owe a lot of just everything that got me and kept me into hardcore. I got from going to Confront shows, listening to the records, hanging out with those guys. So it was, huge band for me growing up.
This song is great too, because it basically just has two tempos, which is like the raging fast, like scissor beat, and then like leaning into kind of like an SSD, like mid tempo. So good.
And an epic sing along.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, crucial. Dan, why were you going to pick this?
Everything that's been said, plus lyrical content, plus the term "one life drug free," that has lived on way beyond the realm of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people will say that or even have it as a, like a in their bio on Tinder or something.
Yeah, or yearbook.
But not know who Confront is,
Are you swiping right when you see "One Life Drug Free," Dan?
Oh, for sure. But I mean, it's a powerful song, and I mean, I love Steve's vocals in all three realms, and here's like the start of it, which is kind of like, it's just hard, snub-nosed, like mean Youth Crew, at this point. And then, as we see the progression of what the Cleveland melting pot does to the sounds going forward, that's why I really like it. And it's just because it's tough, mean Youth Crew, straight edge music,
It is a little bit meaner than like a lot of the Youth Crew.
Yeah.
It's like they swam one too many times in the lake.
I think
got
it's
some sort
more
of bug
just,
in the ear.
It's just, I don't think like super nice stuff have come out of super positive stuff. Maybe we'll get there, but Cleveland just seems mean.
Well, it's when you hear the stories about youth of today, and when they go to New York, and it's like, you're not going to bring that straight edge shit to New York. Cleveland is a very not straight edge city. It's a working class, blue collar, like especially like if you go back to the 80s, it's just a very working class, like it's a heavy drinking town. And and also thinking about these songs, these are only 5, 6, 7 years after Minor Threat. Straight edge is still relatively new. And a lot of people still resent it at that time.
Hence the band's name. The band's name is talking about that.
I mean, we had a great hardcore scene in the 80s, largely because of Confront too, though, because they were friends with all the Revelation bands. Side note, when I was doing research for this, I read somewhere that Capo actually offered Confront to be on Revelation, and they turned it down because they weren't like there yet. I don't know how true that is.
Well, they toured with them a few times, right?
They played a ton of shows with them. Like Capo took them out. There's that video where Capo, is wearing the Confront shirt on stage at, I think, the Anthrax. But because those guys and that crew were all friends with the Revelation bands and whatever, we had great shows, throughout like 88, 89, 90, where all those bands came to Cleveland and played. I mean, Project X played how many shows? They played 2 shows in Cleveland. So like we had I was spoiled because I got to see. Wasn't in New York. I wasn't in Boston. You know, I never went to CBs. I never went to these clubs, but I got to see these bands when I was like 15, 16 years old, which was great.
That's cool. When was your first show?
First show, like the first show I went to in a club would have been 86 or 87.
God, that's cool. You and Rob are kindred spirits. Other sides of the country, though.
Okay, and speaking of Rob,
what do you have to say about Confront Rob?
Yeah, this band fucking rages. Great song, great pick. I always looked at them as kind of how I looked at like the In Contrast to Sin 7-inches. I mean, not that it's the same genre, but I looked at it as like just negative hardcore, negative youth crew type stuff is what I had written down about Confront. Like they had the DNA of youth crew, but it was angry. It was mean. It wasn't, it was not posy in any way. And side fact, actually, very few people know this, but Eric Allen actually had a Confront tattoo on his arm. He had the One Life drug-free guy.
Yeah.
On his arm. Yeah. So yeah, that band was, we all like that band out here. I never got to see them play. I got to see a lot of Cleveland bands, but not them. But yeah, they're absolutely a great band.
Rob, let's go to you for your number one.
My number one, on the Only the Strong comp, I'm going Face Value Someday.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, fucking band is awesome. Every iteration, I got to see them a few times. I got to play with them a couple times with Unbroken. Once at a boxing ring in Omaha, Nebraska, to like 60 kids. But it was awesome, getting to meet Tony and the rest of the guys, and they were so nice and welcoming and funny and cool. And he kept calling us California Jacuzzi Crew was his nickname for all of us. But yeah, I could have easily gone with more Integrity songs, but I have a feeling we're going to talk about Integrity to death, so I wanted to really snatch up.
I called up my dad.
Sorry,
what is it?
I don't know what the hell's going on. I think I sat on my phone and it just went haywire.
Yeah, this is a great pick. This whole 7-inch, we're doing it like pretty soon if it hasn't already aired on side A, side B. And this song is a total rager.
Yeah, it's great. Face Value is a great band. Tony Erba is a great front man. A funny front man. His great interviewee, and a good bass player.
Yeah, the two interviews that he did with Turned Out a Punk are like two of my inspirations for doing this podcast. Like him and Damien, those are like some of the best like hours of interviewing I've ever heard in my life. The dude just has a gift of gab.
Yeah, he has the ability to be really honest and myth busting, in some of the interviews about, oh, well, I heard this about Cleveland. Well, let me just tell you, he's just a blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I think we'll get into Face Value more also because there's a lot of bands that are going to get repeated on here. But we'll see. And thank you guys all for not taking my number one pick, which is Mean Streak, Final Word, off this segment as well. I was so scared this was going, but I got it. This song has like, first off, that mosh at the end, that riff. So ill. And his voice, so mean. This band name, so perfect. Just everything about this song is a total rager. And it's the only song they ever put out. And so I got lucky with my number 4 pick getting to have this. So good. Daniel, or who was the guy that went,
Me.
How did you not think I was going to take this in the first round?
Because I thought you were going with Dario Stomp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said about it is it's that next step down into more mean, more, you know, kind of sneering, tough as fuck. Like, you know, it takes what was going on in Confront and then goes a little step closer to nastiness. And it sounds so good. And yeah, the riff and the sing along ish part at the end, and it's such a good song. It's my favorite song on that comp.
Yeah, so good. The verses are kind of weird. Like I don't know anything else that sounds like
Actually,
them. And then like the choruses bring it in.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like bands that only record one song are just such an enigma to me anyways, because like to go to like do all the stuff that you have to do to go to a studio and just like, we're just going to record one song, especially like hardcore songs. So like, how long is this song? Like a minute?
Yeah.
Like all the effort to go to a studio and to record like a minute's worth of music is just like, and also I'm going to assume that this was recorded at Mars, and Mars studio was like in the middle of nowhere. Like the effort to get to Mars would have been enough to like, we're recording 1 minute of music here.
Yeah,
like,
but it wasn't weird back then when like labels that were going to put out a comp would give small budgets for bands to go do that, and they're like, "Fuck yeah!" No other songs aired, you know.
So this is funny because like this band existed, you know, when I was there. I have no idea who's in this band besides Steve. I assume Chubbs is in the band too, but like I have no idea who else is in this band. Like they didn't play shows. They didn't like, so it was probably also like, oh, we're going to be, Integrity was probably in the studio and they probably recorded this with like, and at a time when Integrity was there or something, you know, like, but yeah, I have positively no idea about any of this. So I got nothing to add except that this is a great song and I wish there was more.
Yeah, it must have been at the end of some other band's recording session, you know. I don't know that for sure, but you know,
I'm gonna assume just because I have no idea who's actually in Mean Streak, and I don't have the 7-inch in front of me to look it up. But like, is it like the Integrity guys and with just Steve singing?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I have no idea. I think I have 3 versions of the 7-inch, but none have the booklet. So, motherfuckers always taking out the insert and not putting them back. The hell?
Well, maybe that's the whole point of the band, right? The song's the final word, so it's like one song, that's it. Like it was a concept band.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same time as Confront too, right? Because Confront does 2 comp songs in 90. This is 1990. Confront 7-inch comes out in 91. So, I mean, they could be recorded at the same time as Confront as well.
So I'm on Discogs, and every band is listed on here except for Insight and Mean Streak. Doesn't say who's in the band. So there you go.
We'll never know. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap back to Daniel for his number 2.
All right. I'm psyched that this is still here. Integrity. Abraxas Annihilation.
Greatest riff ever, possibly.
I'm saying that part where it goes from the slow part and then it hits double time. If that has not moved you, both physically and mentally, and let you know that hardcore is probably the greatest thing on the planet, then you don't have hardcore in your heart. This song is so good. And this song, as well as some others, but this song is at the top of the pyramid to let you know that the 10-inch is the best Integrity release.
Debatable, but it's great.
Very debatable.
His voice, when he comes in on that riff part, when the main riff is going slow, he's like, oh my God, his voice right there is the greatest. And then, that tempo change when it goes to the halftime.
So good.
Yeah. It's like the pinnacle of like everything you try to write as a hardcore songwriter, you know, and they did it. And then like, I'm such a sucker for milking a riff. Like to just make it sound so rad both ways. It's like,
Yeah.
so good.
And apparently Frank Three Gun wrote the music to this song. Not the Melnicks. Because I once on social media was lauding the Melnicks for this, and including not only the greatest back cover live photo ever.
I was going to get to that.
Doing straight up triple Youth Crew jumps at Warped Tour. The fact that I was talking about, oh my God, this riff, blah, 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 on a Instagram post like 6 or 7 years ago or something. And Mike Cheese called me out. He goes, actually, it was Frank who wrote the riff and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, and if you didn't correct your post in the next 30 seconds, you're getting stabbed with a hot dog.
So a lot like Black Flag, it's like when you think about like Black Flag lineups, like what's your quintessential Black Flag lineup? Like what's your quintessential Integrity lineup? Like, is this it?
The 10-inch.
The 10-inch.
I mean, everybody who was in that photograph.
Yeah. You know, finding out that photo was taken at Warped Tour like bummed me out. I only found out about it last year because like before it added so much mythology to like this band for me. Like, what the fuck?
Why are
like,
they under a
bridge?
Are they
playing a show under a bridge? Like, this is so ill. But it's it's Warped Tour. They blocked off like a block or something, you know?
Dude, that's Cleveland, man. You play under bridges. Get with it.
Believe it. Yeah, man. Yeah, and quintessential lineup, fuck, who knows? Like, I like the whole Melnick ride. And I don't know who comes in and out, like when Blaze is in and when he's not.
Because Chris Smith, who is in Keel Hall now, was in a bunch of other bands that I'll probably talk about at some point tonight. But he plays second guitar on Those Who Fear Tomorrow. And Chubbs plays drums on Those Who Fear Tomorrow. But then after Chubbs is out, Dave Araka, who was in a band with Chris, he passed away quite a while ago. That's my favorite lineup is the Dave Araka, Chris Smith, Melnick, Dwid. That's the lineup for me. But
what's your go-to Psy Warfare lineup?
Again, who's in Psy Warfare? Like I don't
I don't know. They're always wearing ski masks.
Yeah. Cleva, let's go to you for your number 2.
I'm actually amazed that this is still here. Speaking of Frank Three Gun, I'm going to go Ringworm, Numb, Blind to Faith.
Yeah.
The opening track on The Promise. So Ringworm, speaking of bands that only have one song, Ringworm comes out of another band called Force of Habit, who have one song, and they're on the Conversion comp in 1990, which is also a great song. And it's also not on Spotify because I would have picked that. But the main people, Frank and James come out of that and start Ringworm. And Ringworm is Integrity. It was going one way with, inserting metal into hardcore. And then you have Ringworm kind of going another way where they're also inserting, some more like blast beats and more like grindcore feel to the band. Also while being like crazy Kiss worshipping maniacs. So that convergence of metalcore and grindcore and being like crazy Kiss fans just kind of all comes together on this record. Like The Promise, I hold The Promise up against any other Cleveland record front to back. It'd be hard to beat. This with that opening, There Is No God, into a riff, with a great intro, and then like right into the song and James Human Furnace, just his vocal delivery, and it is just so there. It's like that higher pitched that higher pitch vocals that just kind of comes in and cuts through the music and just like hits you.
Yeah, I had this on my list as well. I mean, I think that it's just, I have written down like pissed off rock and roll. Like it is so rocked out, but angry with that metallic, heavy, hardcore influence. And yeah, his vocal delivery is like nobody else, and it fits the music so well. I've talked about it before with like other singers who use their voice as an instrument. Like this is a prime example of his voice as an additional instrument on these songs. I mean, it's great.
So he doesn't do it on this song, but he's one of the, I don't know if he's the first, but I feel like he's one of the first that I noticed that stacks his vocals, where he would record first line, third line, and then go back and do second line, fourth line on another take. Because like, and it's on, it's just is it Urine or it's the second song on the LP that the vocal lines are just stacked on top of each other in such a way that it's like, but they still come at you because he's not recording them all in one breath and all in one burst. They just keep coming at you, and it's just like pummeling, and it's just like a total assault of the vocals, which works so well.
Yeah, because Urine is when they're just going full like scissor beat and just coming at you too. But back to what you chose, the Numb, Blind to Faith, like this intro is out of this world. And, Rob referred to like a great singer using like his voice as an instrument. I want to talk about the guitars here using their instruments as instruments, like in a way of like this intro. A thing they do is it's very rhythmic in the way that they're not like writing a riff, like on the intro, and it's like da 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 da. That's two notes, and it's so ill. And then the tiny little change up when they go like da 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 da, and then to the da dun 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 dun, and that's like a stomp part. It's the earliest thing I can think of that goes to that, like keeping the drums the same tempo but changing the guitar riff to like that stomp. Trial did it really well, and then I've used that little trick in like every band I've ever done. And this is the earliest example of me seeing that.
You know what it's reminiscent of, because it's like they're playing the same riff, but they're just picking it and muting it differently. Is the Leeway intro, where it's like the Leeway intro, yes. like sometimes it's open and it's like, but then it's just like it's the same riff. They just approach it a different way every time they play it, and it just keeps you off your feet. Yes. Like just keeps you a little bit off balance, because every time it comes in and they're just picking it a little bit differently, and it makes a very simple riff interesting.
I think that's a perfect example, because it's the exact same thing that they do. They're just changing the riff like a tad bit to make it interesting, but not like fucking it up, And then also just we're talking about Blind to Faith real quick. On those choruses, when they do like that quick little double kick, the on the or whatever he says, like, oh my God, this record is so good because there's so many like little things like that they put like this attention to detail in, but then they can have like a song like Urine, which you were referring to, where it's just full fucking YOLO.
Yeah, or like a song like Flatline that has that just crazy breakdown towards the end. That's like fucked up riff, that's like stoner rock, but kind of brutal. It's really cool. It's a great album.
Yeah,
great choice.
This album front to back. And also I want to give a shout out to the demo too, because if you take Numb away from this, I probably would have picked the demo version just to have the Hellraiser music. But the demo, the Ringworm demo has the Hellraiser music in between. So it's like the Hellraiser music plays, and it's like the songs are in between the Hellraiser music, and then it goes back to that. And it's just like adds this like creepy vibe that I think is, not to say like the creepy core, but it's just like, it just adds like this layer of like, it's like metalcore, and it's bringing in all these other things from those outside worlds that we talked about with Integrity too. And it's like, Integrity and Ringworm kind of coming out around the same time with these things is just really like just pushing things forward. Some would say maybe not in a great way, because it does become a little more metallic, but They're just like pushing the envelope with this music.
Well, you know, there's a well said thing that, lots of critics or whatever have said about, Brutal voices in the past, that it sounds like, they're ripping their vocal cords apart. But like, I swear that there's blood in the bottom of his throat after these tracks were recorded, because his voice sounds literally like just the term shredding, not shredding like solos, like literal shredding, like Hellraiser shredding.
Yeah.
So ill. Rob, let's go to you for your number 2.
I am going to go with also. Actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to take a left turn here. Sorry, I'm going to go with the Dead Boys, Sonic Reducer. I mean, I know.
God damn it!
I mean, there's so many Integrity songs. I mean, this could be an Integrity podcast. So I'm going to pick stuff that I think other great things about Cleveland, and obviously they have a bedrock punk scene, right? Like with bands like this and others that I won't name in case they get chosen. But yeah, I mean, this song is a classic. It is a punk staple. Stiff Baders. I mean, it is awesome. I know they got more popular via the New York scene and all that, but they're from Cleveland, and this song fucking rips, and it's undeniable classic, like top 10 punk song of all time for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think this was on everyone's
number
list.
2.
Everyone's list.
I actually was gonna pick this last, but Ringworm was still on the table, and I took that, and I should have. I should have taken. I actually would have taken this. I was going to take this number 1 because I was worried someone was going to take it. But then Confront being the only Confront song on Spotify, I took that. But there's, as great as this song is, there is a video of them playing this at CB's that is even to the next level.
Yeah, I mean,
what year's the video? What year's the videos? Like,
is it
like 78, 79, like around that?
There's still tables in CB's, so that's how
wow.
long it is.
Jeez. That's awesome.
And this guy comes out and introduces them and makes a point to say that they're from Cleveland. It is 77.
Wow. So
rad. I need to look that up.
Yeah, this is absolutely great. I have it on my list, but you know what? There's more than 4 good Dead Boys songs, so I'm still going to grab some. We'll see. We will see. But, oh my God, I feel so fortunate. I got my 2 number 1s because there was only one song. Like, I had to have that Mean Streak song, and I had one backup for this band. But I wanted this song, and I'm taking as my number 2 pick, In Cold Blood. And the song is Jesus Christ. I blew that. I am taking In Cold Blood, and the song I'm choosing is Lost in Doubt. It's the fucking illest song ever. It might be the greatest song in the history of Earth. Just the way it comes in with like the ding ding ding. Ding, ding, ding. It's like the wildest solo you've ever heard. And it's just so heavy. It's like the best of like what you think of with Cleveland hardcore. Like it's super metallic, but super brutal and everything. And it's like this fucking album. Every time when Retaliate does an album, the guys make fun of me because I send this album through and say, hey, here's what I want to sound like. But I don't ever think that we'll attain a song like this. It is just so ill. And the solo's so good because they play it twice. It's like they come back and play the same solo twice. And I can't think of many songs that do that. There's a 15 song called Lucky, and like they have a great solo in there and they play it twice. But this one's there. And it has like this long interlude in the middle where it just goes like ding, 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 ding. for like a long time and builds back up to the solo. It's so fucking good. This is a perfect metal hardcore song. I absolutely love it. I've listened to the song more times than maybe, a lot of songs. Like this is like top 20 song of any genre for me. I just thought that Mean Streak song would get chosen sooner. So I took that first. This is my number one Clevo song for sure. And if people haven't heard it, you can check it out on the playlist. Are you guys all familiar with this?
Yeah, the fact that this record isn't more revered is kind of shocking. It came out on Victory. It's still in that time where Integrity, still had sort of this mysteriousness / popularity around them. It's just, I'm just really shocked that it's not more well known. I do know that I bought this when it came out and I had it on colored vinyl and I have no idea what I did with my copy. So I don't think I would have sold it, but maybe I traded it. Cause I went to actually look for this record the other day to listen to it as we were setting up for this. And I have no idea where it went. But when we were talking before about how Integrity kind of goes from, a straight up hardcore band to a metal hardcore band to being more influenced by outside stuff, I think that this too, which kind of shows the range of the Melnicks, is that, writing, I don't know how much of this he wrote, but this has, the cover art is definitely very like Japanese hardcore kind of inspired, but also it has that Discharge vibe to it that is, I'm sold. Like if you're gonna pull off a Discharge vibe and do it well, I'm sold every time.
Yeah, this album has so many like brutal short ragers, and that's why I wanted this song so bad. Is like I think it just encapsulates like the greatest of this band. But they do have like the short blasts, like the song "Retaliate," the song that starts out the album. Is another one, and I don't know if the other songs would have like summed this band up as well. Because then they also have some like longer slow burner songs too. But this album's just all around classic. I still have it on vinyl. I think I just have it on black. I don't think I have this on color. But I think part of the reason why they didn't catch on, Clevo, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if they ever played any shows in this iteration, because I think it's just Blaze like writing all the songs, and then it's the singer of like, is it, I don't know, Mushroom Head, something like that? It's like some big metal band. Like their singer sings on it.
I don't know if he sings on this or if it's something else that he sings on. But yeah, there's definitely a Mushroom Head connection.
Right. So I think he sings on this and he's never on anything else. So like they may have never played any shows of them or something.
Yeah, I again, this is sort of that whole mysterious Cleveland hardcore. Who the hell knows what's going on? Who's in the bands? Who's
That's the way they like it.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's not like for lack. It's not for like lack of trying or lack of doing research. Because this is kind of where I came up against the wall. Because it's like there's all of this stuff that there's just like the information is just not as accessible, and if you weren't there, you just don't know.
But I think this touches on kind of post Integrity, Humanity is the Devil, right? I mean, it has that Japanese. It's when they get more into Japanese hardcore, and this is a continuation of that Discharge, Gizm, Bastard type of vibe. I mean, it's. I would say it's not my like favorite thing ever, but I do like this record a lot. I remember liking it a lot when it came out. I haven't listened to it in probably like 10, 15 years. But yeah, I remember liking it back in the day. And, and also too, someone mentioned earlier too, that it's, like Japanese kind of inspired like punk graphics on the cover. And I think one of the Melnick brothers actually did the artwork for it, was involved in the artwork for it. So I think that connection of them kind of getting into that Japanese hardcore stuff, this is like an extension of that, it seems like, this band.
Right, because this is 98. I think Humanity is the Devil is 96-ish, 96, 97. So yeah, Rob's correct, and this is post-Humanity.
This is 98.
This is 98 for sure.
Yeah, and Humanity's a Devil is like, I think 96, 97, maybe.
Right. So this is right around the time of Seasons in the Size of Days.
But when this came out, I just thought that's the coolest band name. Like, how has no one thought of that before? The Truman Capote book, like, and it just sounds hard as fuck in Cold Blood, you know? Sick.
So rad.
So yeah, so Jason Popson, Jay Popson sings on this, and he went on to be in Mushroomhead, amongst other stuff. I don't know if Melnick did the layout. It says that John Pichet, who was a friend of the Melnicks, he did a zine in the 80s. It said that he did the cover. And yeah, but it's, you know, it's the Melnicks, it's Blaze. So you get that again, it's dudes who played in bands together that just click. Like those three dudes could get in a room and probably just bang out a record like right now.
Yeah, so rad.
Well, the cover is so like Age of Quarrel meets Discharge, you know? It's so cool.
That's probably a perfect way to put it. Daniel, let's go to you for your number 3.
Okay, I want a clarification from our resident Ohio expert. Am I allowed to take a band from Akron as a Clevo choice?
I mean,
is it close enough?
I mean, you guys took Worcester for the Boston, so
yeah,
Akron's closer to Cleveland than Worcester is to Boston. So.
Okay, so I'm good then, because I'm not gonna. We're never gonna do an Akron Super 7, so let's get them in now. Devo, Gates of Steel.
All right.
This is my favorite Devo song, and there are many to love, but this song, if you've not heard it, listen to the playlist right now. This song is punk pop perfection. I'm not going to say pop punk perfection. Everything about it, you know, it's Devo were classified as being a new wave band because they didn't sound, you know, well, new wave was basically what punk was called before the term punk was widely accepted. But I always think of like new wave as having a little bit more instrumentation than just the classic punk records, and I think that's what Devo do, you know, with synthesizers, Moogs, and etc. But this is a Devo song that is heavily reliant on the guitar instead of all the other technology that they utilized on many other songs. And I absolutely love this song, and I'm really glad I got it. And I'm glad Akron was deemed acceptable.
Devo, like, you know, however we want to classify them. One thing about Devo that, you know, is really shocking to me is that Jerry Casale was at Kent State at the Kent State shootings.
Crazy.
So like to think about like what does that have to do with punk? I don't know. But like the fact that it's kind of just like he's at the forefront. Like he was an art student. I think he was an art student at Kent when that happened, but he was at Kent when that happened. So like he, you know, he's been on the fringes of and like in the counterculture, like, you know, for 50, I mean, Kent State was 50 years ago. So like just to think that this dude has been at like the forefront of the counterculture for that long. You know, and yeah, like there's like Devo has, you know, they have some riffs, like, you know, it is a good choice, and that whole like punk new wave thing, whatever. But
well, they have some riffs, but this is the riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a synthesized like Wire or Stiff Little Finger song, right? So it's not like it's not like your claim of like that, you know, that DNA isn't intermingled. I mean, to me, this song, I mean, yeah, this song's fucking great. Devo's awesome. I love them, you know, but yeah, this song in particular is a great choice because it does have that synthesized. Like this truly is like the next iteration of where punk was kind of headed when synthesizers and Moog started to become more prevalent in that scene. And you hear that. I mean, it's not no wave, like this kind of arty New York disjointed synthesized stuff. You know, this is very, you know, it's rooted in pop, but it has that punk undercurrent. So you can hear that wire, stiff little fingers undercurrent in the Devo, especially the early Devo songs. You know, that's what I always got from it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this song in particular, though, you know, because it's 1980, so it's seen what's, you know, it can't help but be influenced by some of the other things around, even though Devo were highly original. You know, I think the reason I choose this song over lots of other Devo songs is because this probably has some influence from the bands you mentioned and things like that I love so much that have crept into the Devo sound to do more of a straightforward, awesome, like, for lack of a better term, you know, like punk pop song, you know?
One thing I just thought about, I saw this picture for the first time last week. So Devo played in San Francisco the day after the last Sex Pistols show. And I saw a picture of Devo on stage and they're all wearing Sex Pistols shirts, which I thought was like the coolest thing.
That is cool.
I'll see if
really
I can dig it up. But yeah, that's like, they were there. Like if they were playing, you know, as contemporaries of the Sex Pistols, they were there, you know, so.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I think the band formed in like 74 or something.
Oh yeah, they formed, you know, in the early 70s. So yeah, they're again, they're at the forefront of counterculture, period.
Yeah, definitely. Devo.
Clevo, let's go to you for your number 3.
All right. I'm gonna go a little bit left here just because I love this song and I think it's super important. But I'm gonna take the Guns. I'm Not Right. The Guns were one of the first hardcore bands in Cleveland, and members went on to be in a bunch of different bands. But if you ask like the people in the bands, most of the people in the bands that we're talking about tonight, who their favorite Cleveland band is, most of them are going to say the Guns. The song "I'm Not Right" it's like a hardcore anthem. And, you know, something I kept saying over and over when we did the Boston episode was about how these songs are about being an outcast and these songs are about, you know, not being a part of society. And straight up in this song, the singer says, "I don't fit in society." So it's a song about being a punk. It's a song about being different. It's a song about being out there. And it's also like a straight banger. So the guys from the Guns, and there was another band called The Dark, which, you know, probably no one's going to pick anything from them, I don't think. But those guys went on to be in a band called False Hope, which only put out 2 demos. And that's another band that, you know, they're probably my favorite band aside from Confront from the late 80s. But the dudes from False Hope, so Dave Aracco, who I talked about before, was in the Guns, went on to be in Integrity. He was also in False Hope. And then, they were just in a bunch of different bands. And this song is great. And hopefully I just turn a bunch of people onto the song because I think it is like one of the best like 80s punk hardcore songs. Probably doesn't get a lot of notice. I believe it was on the New Hope comp. But this is on Spotify. And yeah, I just hope people get turned on to it and hear it. I think it was Cheap Tragedies, the band that Urba did a while ago. I believe they covered this. I think they did a Guns medley, but I think they covered it. But still, like the more people that hear the song, like a greater service I'm doing to the punk and hardcore world.
Yeah, this is from the New Hope comp, 1983. They had 2 songs on it. Yeah, and this song is like, okay, so it's like a mid-tempo, like a nervous beat breakdown tempo, but like it's faster. It's like as fast as you could possibly be, like, and have the guy still be able to like downstrum. Because it's like one of those fast, like mid-tempo where the dude is just downstrumming the whole time. And like Cleo said, it's sick. It's about society. But these kids are like, they're like 15 or something at the time.
Yeah, they were like all super young. They were like 14, 15. I don't know how old they were when they recorded this, but yeah, they were all super young. And yeah, it's also like, it's definitely of the time. And I think Black Flag is probably a good comparison, where it's kind of like Keith era. Excuse me. I think like Keith era Black Flag is a good comparison because like his voice isn't ever really like, doesn't seem strained or doesn't like, he's not screaming, and you can like you can understand all the lyrics. But like the riff is great. And yeah, it is like a perfect song. And if it would have come out of LA in 1983, it'd be a classic. I think the fact that, and this is kind of the issue that, we were talking about before we recorded, is a lot of these 80s bands from Cleveland, they either like, near the end they were recording 7 inches, and then like Integrity like kind of took off, and then you see like kind of a boom. But a lot of these bands from the 80s, they were either on comps or they just recorded a demo, and it's like they're kind of lost to the ages, which sucks because like I've kind of said all along, like I just wish someone would do a False Hope discography, and if those tapes exist even, because people who know talk about them, just like they were just great. Like they played all the shows, like the Guns were a little bit before my time. I did see them once. They played a reunion show, and I have zero recollection of it. I was there and I watched them, but I have zero recollection of the show.
Well, the other thing is, I think that for at least these comp songs, it's just two dudes. I think it's like a guy playing guitar and singing and their drummer, right?
Yeah, so it's like Dave Areka, and then is it Tom Dark? But yeah, they're just like young kids, just raging.
Yeah, but you're right. Like this is like,
oh no, it's not. Sorry, it's not Tom Dark. It's Scott. It's Scott Eakin.
Okay, yeah, I played this for a couple guys at work today. I was like, listen to these two songs, like these two comp songs. I was like, these are both perfect punk songs in like completely different ways, and yeah, they are.
So the one thing is, in the early 90s, Dwid put out the Bowel CD, which was like a grindcore band that like me and Steve was in, and he tacked the Guns record that like never came out on the end of that CD, because like the Bowel CD is like what, like probably like 15 minutes long, and it's like I have like 70 minutes to work with here, and he tacked that on. So that might have been one thing. And also on the there's a song on the Dark Empire Strikes Back comp too, Support, that is also on there, which so I think people have heard them, but I still think that not enough people have heard this.
Well, because it swung the other way too much, and I'm sure that people in Cleveland will hate me for saying that, because like I would want to be a completist of like all the bands from where I'm from. Like the False Confession demo LP came out, and it was stoked, and Ill Repute, like both their demos got put out on vinyl. I was stoked.
Yeah.
Or when God, what was that? Grand Theft Auto, was that label in the 90s? Like, who just put out those insane CDs with everything?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like
they're still doing it.
Yeah, but that's what happened with the Guns here, because they got a proper repress sometime in the last 10 years. But it was
Smogvale did the double LP. Like,
right. It's like you go from like a band where it's like, oh, you have two perfect like comp songs, and then it's like, oh, now there's a double LP, and it's just like too much for me. Like
I think the stuff that Dwid put on the end of that Bowel CD, because it's only like 10 songs, like I think if that came out, like yes, I do agree, like in being a completist and like that. It's the Agnostic Front Raw Unleashed, where it's like the
Right.
practice sessions for United Blood, which I mean, I'll listen to that, but like I'm not gonna like put that on every day.
Well, and it's not the thing to hook people.
No.
If you're like, dude, the guns are so sick, you got to check this out. You don't give them like a double LP and be like, okay, sift through this.
No, but yeah, but when this song comes up on the playlist,
Yeah,
you guys
people
will
are
know
gonna
what I'm talking
rage.
about.
You're gonna
Yeah.
slam in your living room, dude. It's gonna happen. Okay, Rob, let's go to you for your number 3.
All right. So on my number 3, I am going with Lundgren Crucifixion from Integrity. That song to me is probably my favorite Integrity song. Lyrically, musically, just the tempo change is so gnarly, and that riff is heavy as fuck. And there's something that happens on there's a riff that happens with the bass, actually, where he noodles this certain chord, and it always stuck with me. And I was so blown away when I finally figured out how to do that as a bass player when I was a kid in the early 90s. And it's around 17 seconds into the song, 17 seconds, he does this like bass chord, and that like taught me the different things that you can do with the bass and not just kind of play along and sit in the background. And that this song is just so powerful to me. So this is like personally my favorite Integrity song. So I don't know if this is every whoa, what's going on here? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
I heard the ghost of Integrity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
the
didn't-
second. I feel that like there's a sabotage going on because every time I'm talking about my picks, some music lights up. So, so yeah, but yeah, that song in particular, because when this cassette was first coming out on Overkill Records, Ron Guardpi, R.I.P., singer from Brotherhood, he was down in San Diego with Undertow, and he gave me a cassette single on Progression Records called Grace of the Unholy, and it had 2 tracks on it, Darkness and I think March of the Damned.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by it. And then he's like, oh, and I'm putting out the Integrity album. And he's like, here, and he gave me an advance copy. And I was just, I talked about it numerous times, and everyone has their Integrity story. But yeah, the album just, blew my head off. I never heard anything like it from a hardcore band. And so, when I got to this song and it got to that part in the song, I just remember just rewinding the cassette over and over and over to hear that bass line, because it just, and even now when I hear it, it still gives me chills, because I think about when I was like 16, 17 years old, hearing that bass line and trying to figure it out over and over, and finally getting it and being like, okay, like I understand. Maybe I was 18 at the time. But so, yeah, anyway, this is my number 3 and my favorite Integrity song.
So 2 things
Also-
about this song.
Oh, just real quick, Brian. Like,
Yeah.
I love that this song, like that they're owning it now. Like that they do those like the da 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 da, because they kind of do it in Misha. It's kind of the same, but here they are. It's like, dude, we're doing this, and they do it through like the rest of like the Melnick span of like just hitting like that tempo and like how those chords progress. They do it a lot, and it's always just a tad different, but it's like just inherently Integrity.
I think on this album it's more samey. I think this album is very, as great as this album is, and a lot of people, this is a lot of people's favorite Integrity. But like, I think this album, as great as it is, as urgent as it is, as great as the songs are, I think the album overall is a little bit one note. It's a little aside from like, it's cobbled together from like 7-inch songs and Darkness and March of the Damned from the single, but like the rest of it, it is a little one note, where it's like it is kind of like all this kind of tempo and a lot of like like open E kind of feel to it. That's not to say it's not great, but I think that they progressed much more on the 10-inch and on Systems Overload from this. So like this is like a stepping stone. They're all great. But I think that what you're saying with that is really like they just kind of like ride on this and just like they have a pattern or a formula.
Yeah, and the formula works. I mean, I think that's and I think definitely like Zach said it earlier, like, oh, I love when a band figures out a way to redo one note. Like, we talked about the rise and fall, right? The Leeway intro, like that's one riff, but they figure out different ways to do it. And I don't know. And I guess it's just personal preference too. For me, that's how I love to manipulate one riff over and over and over and figure out how to make it interesting. And I think that's what they've done. Even though I have to say the 10-inch personally is my favorite Integrity album or release, but this song in particular is, but yeah, this album my number 2. But yeah, anyway.
So the two, sorry, Dan, the two things I was going to say is one, this song does feature the line "hooked lung, stolen breath, cunt." I just want to get that out.
Yeah. That's what I was going to just say right now.
Was like a reissue version of this album?
Lost and Found.
Lost and Found.
Oh, Lost and Found. That's right.
Yeah.
It was a reissue version of it.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to say is for all of you people that like to listen to true crime podcasts, when you're not listening to 185 South or 185 Miles South, when you listen to your true crime podcast, look up Jeffrey Lundgren, because this song is about these mass murders that happened outside of Cleveland in the late 80s. And it's a fucked up story. This guy thought he was God or Jesus or both, and just started massacring people on his farm. Don't want to ruin everything, but check it out on some.
Spoiler alert.
Just look up Jeffrey Lundgren. I mean, I said he was a mass murderer. Just look up Jeffrey Lundgren, and you'll go down a wormhole with it if that's your thing.
Well, when you actually know who he is and stuff, you can see how fucking great these lyrics are, describing it in a very poetic manner.
Yeah.
The line that I really love is the "New Crown Beauty, Christian Duty."
Jesus, great line.
Mine is my favorite is actually "Neck Restrained Daughter, Endless Slaughter." That goes into "Hook, Lung, Stolen Breath, Cunt."
Yeah.
So brutal. And it's what makes integrity,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me take my number 3. And I am going old as well. I'm going to take "Street Where Nobody Lives" by the Pagans. I love their whole catalog. They've done a fair amount of represses, so you can find these things on vinyl, but most of it's not on Spotify. It's just spot songs here and there. But I was stoked because this is my favorite song and it is on Spotify. So what makes this song so ill is like the bass is just walking, and like there's like almost not a guitar riff. It's just like the guitar dude is kind of just playing a note or two, but like the bass is like going do 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 do, just doing a scale. But somehow it's like it just comes off so ill. And then when the way that the singing comes in, he's got like a very, very cool rhythm pattern on top of it. It's like, and it's like this all going on at once. It's like, oh my God, like what is this like craziness? But it's like it's still so simple and straightforward, and has like that great up tempo, mid tempo punk beat, and then catchy chorus. What else do you need, dude? This is like another perfect punk song coming out of Cleveland, and I had to take it. And stoked I got it early, but I did have 4 Pagan songs in case I needed one.
I was gonna say I'm shocked it took you this long to get to the Pagans, knowing how much you love the Pagans. So yeah, I'm happy.
I had to get those I had to get Mean Streak and Cold Blood, and now I'm like in the clear because like I got mad Integrity songs, mad Ringworm songs, mad Pagan songs. So I'm styling now. Now this is all just fun, but those first couple rounds were stressful. So.
Yeah,
But yeah.
great band, great choice.
Cool. We'll see if they come up again. But Daniel, let's go to you for your number 4.
All right, let me get to the old listeroo. Which do I take? Integrity, Hollow. This way we get a little bit of integrity and we get a little bit of human furnace. This song is incredible. The way the bass sounds going into this song is so fucking amazing. I don't know what that pedal or tone that they have going into this, but it sounds almost like absolutely brutal and evil, but also almost chime-ish, if you know what I mean. It just sounds so good. And then the song is blistering pace. And, you know, a lot of times when someone does a guest spot on a hardcore song, it's like they are given a part, but here it's like I do the verses, you do the chorus, and it works so fucking well. I mean, I absolutely love it, and their voices together are unbelievable. The song is incredible.
Yeah, also this chorus is like subtly melodic.
Yeah.
You know, about as like melodic feel-good notes as Integrity gets.
I wouldn't say feel good, but yes.
It is though.
Catchy.
I mean, well, because they always go into like the dark melodies, but these are the nice notes.
Well, there is like a there's like a backing like quiet track though where it's like the vocals, like as James is singing, it's like spoken really quietly in the background, which kind of adds like the spooky. So it's like it's like it does have a melodic feel to it, but there's also that creepiness with that spoken like backing track in there.
Well, and also his vocals are just shredded, and that's what makes it's such a special song. Is like having those Human Furnace vocals over like these nice chords. It's like, oh, it's just a nice dynamic.
Just like the end of that song too, it's like so triumphant. Like it's just like it's just like soldiers like bashing through a wall or something. It's just so huge at the end of this song. I mean, yeah, I love this song for so many reasons, but yeah, that ending is just so great.
It is. You're right, Rob. And I absolutely love just the way the words "beyond your hopes, beyond your dreams" are delivered.
Then like would Dwid intersperse between James's parts. I think though, like when you think of the 10-inch though, because obviously there's a song that starts the record that is very epic, but it's like the way that first song ends, which I'm sure someone's going to bring that song up eventually tonight, but like the way that song ends, and then it's just like that bass tone. It's just like that fuzzed out bass tone. Do 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 do, and then just like the song comes in, and then like Dwid is just like singing like it's the end of the world, and then Human Furnace comes in and he sings like it's the end of the world. So that song basically just sounds like the world ending, like just like it's just like there.
And but that bass, like
it's so good.
It sounds like almost like tubular bells, the way it sounds, but it, you know, it's a bass, but it has a otherworldly quality about it, you know.
So I'm just curious as to how much, because we've talked about the bass tone or like just the tone on Integrity Records, and like how much of that is just recording at Mars.
It's got to be. I mean, I think part of it is how they captured his tone, and then who knows what pedals he's using. I mean, I don't know the guy. You know, met him once. You know, like so you know, but it's like, and I wasn't going to be like, hey, what pedals do you use? You know, but I think that, but yeah, it's I mean, to me, that's what is part of what makes Integrity so great is these like bass breakdowns that just launch into a pummeling every time. It's so good.
I would, and not to blow smoke up up Rob's butt, but the two bands in hardcore that do the bass cutout better than any other are Integrity and Unbroken. So,
quick story about Mars. We recorded the In the Red demo at Mars, and we get there, and I'm setting up my gear, and my bass head just dies. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I went to Guitar Center and just bought a bass head that I was going to return the next day. So basically I'm at Mars, this great studio. And I just have an amp that I bought off the shelf and was just I have to record with it. And I was just that. I was such a bum out, because if my amp would have worked, I would have just been so much more psyched to just be the bill and be make me sound good. But here I am with a brand new amp that I'm trying to figure out. And that was one of the biggest disappointments of my life.
I wish you would have been well, if you pay $100, you can find this out. And you're like, all right, I got you, dude. You pay him $100. And then he opens up a curtain and rolls out the Integrity bass rig.
Yeah. Well, when Terror recorded Lowest of the Low there, didn't they use some of the equipment that had been used by Integ in the past?
Possibly.
Why ask questions that we can't answer?
I thought you had asked about that on the Todd Pod.
Oh, I don't remember. But I did want to say that, Rob, Bedge would have asked that question. So sometimes you just got to be like Bedge and ask, hey, what pedal did you use?
So I'm a part-time punisher.
Bedge is a punisher we all know and love.
Shout out the television personalities.
Yeah.
I love you, Ben.
This is a great pick. Cleva, let's go to you for your number 4.
All right. I'm gonna go back to the Face Value well. And I'm gonna take the opening song on the Price of Maturity LP, Men from the Boys.
Damn good track.
I think overall this LP, it kind of suffers from, we recorded a 7-inch, now we're recording an LP, and I think the LP is a little hit or miss, but this song fucking brings it. I think Urba's vocals sound great. Urba's vocals sound great on the LP, but I think Urba's vocals sound great on this song, especially at the end. I love the, as the song ends, the singer shouting, and it's just he's we're nobody's boys, at the end. Urba, quick Urba story, that Urba is he is literally one of the reasons that I love hardcore, because I think that there used to be this the street that we all hung out on, this area in Cleveland called Coventry, and Urba was much more welcoming, I think, than a lot of the other guys who were in bands. That over time, I became friendly with them because we just kind of all hung out at the same time. And every Friday night we'd be hanging out there, and it was just all the kids, all the punks and all the hardcore kids would kind of just meet there if there wasn't a show, and we just kind of hang out and just loiter every weekend. And there was a coffee shop there, and we would buy coffee and then hang out. There were steps out front, and we would just hang out, and everyone would be there. But Cleveland is a weird city. There's the east side and there's the west side, and the east side is a little more affluent, which is where Coventry is on the east side. And then the west side is a little more working class, and Urba's from the west side. He's from a suburb called Parma, which, everyone kind of jokes about Parma. Parma is one of the largest suburbs in the country, but it's very working class, very Polish, Catholic, working class, and whatever. And Urba worked at a pizza place on Coventry. So he wouldn't he wasn't hanging out as much, but you would stop in and get a slice, talk to Urba, or he would come and hang out. But when you saw him out, when he wasn't working and whatever, he was really friendly. He was really welcoming. And, he is probably the person who welcomed me into the scene more than anyone. He's the super nice guy. He has all the best stories. He's been around forever. And he's just like, he is like a stand-up dude. I love the fact that like when people think that they like try to talk about the mysteriousness of Cleveland, if you ask Urba about it, he will straight up tell you the truth. He will shut you down. He will dispel rumors. Like he just tells it as it is, but he's also like super nice guy, super kind guy. And like, it really, like when I was like a young kid, like nosing around, like trying to like, be part of the scene, he was one of the like welcoming people. And it was like, that like meant a lot to me. And he's like great guy. And like when, he joined Face Value, so he joined a band called the Bagmen and made them change their name. They recorded the Bagmen demo, then the 7-inch, then the LPs and whatever. But, when he got in that band, like, I was like so happy for him to like finally like have like a band that like people were into. And like they were like a big band for a lot of people then.
Well, you talk about him like dispelling rumors and whatever. I was kind of referencing that earlier, and I was talking about there's an interview he did on Vice about Cleveland hardcore.
Yeah,
and he goes, the nice Jewish boy who sang for Confront was then told that he was really hard by Dwid, and he became this guy named Mean Steve.
Yeah. That's the same interview where he says that Confront was offered Revelation.
Yeah.
Into the sonicness of this song, though, I think that this song does one of the things that Face Value does really well, which is it's kind of like that New York Where the Wild Things Are-esque like bounce tempo.
Yeah.
It's a great intro.
Especially the breakdown where it's like it's a very like poppy bass.
Yeah. They're not afraid to take chances. Even on like the 7-inch, there's some really wild moments.
I will say the thing that holds Face Value back is the drumming.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So
the scissoring cheater beat.
Yeah, it's pretty whack. Like just the fast beat, because it's like backwards. The snare is backwards, and it's like really distracting, and it's confusing too because I've listened to 7-inch more than this LP. I've never really been a big fan of this LP, but the drumming on the 7-inch, like the drummer does a lot of good stuff. Like he's actually a pretty good drummer. He just doesn't pull it together on the fast beat, which is like really confusing, but at least on the 7-inch, like the fast parts are kind of sparing. Like they're there to get you as like a transitional thing to the other parts. But the fast part is very frustrating.
It's funny that like he does like the breakdowns on the toms and it sounds so good. And then like they go into a fast beat and it's just like, it's like cringe.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Robert, Daniel, do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, great choice. I love this song. Obviously I love Face Value. They were my number one choice earlier. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys covered it. I don't want to keep pontificating on this.
Cool. All right. Well, Rob, let's go to you for number 4.
I'll keep the Urba streak alive, though, and I'm going to go Gordon Soley Motherfuckers, Corporate Jobbers. That fucking chair shop politics EP is so fucking great. It is such a great, like, just blast beat, thrash. Like, it's so good. And this song, like normally I'm not like big into like gimmicky bands, but this shit is just too good. Like, and I don't know. It's really, really good. I'm a big fan of the Gordon Soley Motherfucker record. I like everything they've done, but that Corporate Jobber is just great. Being a wrestling fan and just like a whole band about wrestling, and I don't know, just awesome. So
yeah, there's one classic line that always stands out to me. It's like, sports entertainment? What a crock of piss. Wrestling story.
Yeah. So good. It is so good.
I love that it's a crock of piss and not shit.
Yeah, shit.
Well, because he had to rhyme with Memphis, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, Yeah, this band's great. I never got to see them live, but I've seen quite a few videos, and yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
never saw any of his bands besides Face Value. Unfortunately, I missed like the whole whatever. I forget the name of the club because I wasn't living in Cleveland when it happened, but I missed the whole club where it was like Speak in Tongues. I missed the whole like Speak in Tongues scene where like it was like fireworks and like every show was a fucking experience.
Yeah, I've seen so many crazy videos of like just like extravaganza, like you were like Monday Night Raw. Like it was just so wild. Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could have seen them live. But yeah, I love this band.
Yeah, this is a band I wish I saw him too. This is my favorite Herba project. But unfortunately not on Spotify. So someone handle business and get it up there. Because I didn't. I'm glad you took it, Rob. But I didn't take anything because trying to let the people listen. Okay, for my number 4, I'm gonna take a Ringworm track just because I got to. It's that good. I'm gonna take Necropolis. The reason is like this. If I was gonna like sum up Ringworm for anyone of this era, I think that this song has everything. It has like a great intro, and it's great songwriting because like the intro they circle back and end with the intro too, which is just good songwriting. But then like they do the full like YOLO scissor beat on the verse with like normal chords. But what's wild about the song is on the second verse, they like cut the chords and they go to like the single string, like evil as fuck riff. Like it's so ill. Like, first verse, straight fucking hardcore rager. And then the second time we're just going to change it up a tad, do it on one string. So it sounds like super evil. And this song just sounds like it's going to fall apart the whole time, but it's just, they're there right in the pocket. This is what Ringworm does the absolute best. And like these things that they're writing are out of this world. So it's like, it's not Salapo. And they hit all the starts and stops. Like this song, like it cuts out and then it has like a little bass cutout back into like the breakdown. I don't know. It's just epic songwriting. It's a fucking perfect song. And Ringworm Necropolis from the Promise, 1993. It's on my list. But I think we've said everything about Ringworm. So we can circle back to Dan for his number 5.
Okay, so I only have 3 picks left. And I've bobbed and weaved pretty well and got lots of the songs that I wanted. Obviously some core ones were taken early. I am gonna go. Fuck it. Integrity Vocal Test.
There it is.
The balls on the band to do this, and it come off as probably one of the strongest, like, awesome hardcore songs ever. But just, actually, let's just start talking about the song the way it goes. That, like, coming from the depths of Mordor, like to start it, like that almost Mistral, like, reverse reverb that makes it like, and then then the voice starts. Oh my god, so fucking rad. And yeah, like I say, the balls on the band to open a record with a song called Vocal Test, where it's not like a musical intro, it's just like, I'm gonna fucking just scream through this song and it's gonna be revered as one of our best songs ever.
I'm just gonna make a request for the playlist. Can we put Vocal Test before Hollow?
I was gonna say that, but I was defending. I was, being strategic because I didn't want Hollow to be taken. If I said Vocal Test, it would have triggered someone's memory to go, oh well, I'm going to take Hollow. So I was strategic.
I think
And
much
then should we
like
put Abraxas right after that? I mean, or you know,
Yeah, just fill out the whole 10-inch.
yeah.
I feel like much like when you listen to like for Ringworm, like not picking the demo version because I wanted to have Numb into Blind of Faith. I feel like I can only hear Hollow if Vocal Test is before it.
Yeah. It will sound weird alone. Well, not weird. It'll still be great.
Doesn't like I listen to music on shuffle mostly with my iPod or my my iPhone. I'm old. I used to have an iPod. But I listen to it on shuffle a lot. So like Hollow comes up and it's like, this is still a great song. Also, Vocal Test on its own, also a great song. So like,
but when it ends when you're listening to stuff on shuffle and you don't hear the bass intro to Hollow, you're like, oh, bummer.
And that's exactly what I said when we talked about Hollow, when I was talking about the song that comes before it on the record. It's like the ending of that, because it's just like he's just like giving everything with his voice. I mean, it's a vocal song. When
the song ends and he's just screamed like himself into a stupor. When the song ends, it's almost like the bass intro of Hollow is like where he can just take a big lung full of breath and get ready to go again,
Well, we talked before about using the voice as an instrument. This is the best example of using your voice as an instrument.
True.
Yeah. I mean, they are set.
Well, actually, Bobby McFerrin would have something to say about that.
Well, dude, Bobby McFerrin can fight Dwid. Whoever wins, they get the title. I think Dwight could take Bobby McFerrin.
But I think what was great too is seeing them around this time and then seeing them years later, and when they would open their set with this song, and just people would go fucking crazy, and it's just people screaming their fucking heads off as if like everything ends tonight. Like, I mean, it is aside from Rise and Fall, is like one of the best fucking intros ever. Like, it is so fucking great.
Agree. Can you imagine if a news crew was covering like, what's going on at the local venue, and then they just came in on this song and were filming, and it's just a whole room full of people going, they would think it was a lunatic asylum.
It's like, yeah, because that's what you feel like. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's so cathartic when you're just,
it's primal scream therapy. It really is primal scream therapy.
Yeah. And then just to talk about this album, because 3 songs have been picked off it, like the first 3, I think that this is the most palatable Integrity album. Like, if you were gonna play an album to someone to get them into Integrity, this is the best starting point, because the album's short, all the songs are good. The first 2 LPs, they are great, and my favorite is the first one, but they are kind of long, and then this is just one. Like, I think one time we were coming back from this bachelor party in Baja, and like this is like one of the 2 CDs we have in the truck. It's like a 4-hour drive. We listened to it like 8 times in a row, and that was only like 3 years ago. Like, I've listened to this like my whole adult life,
included all the crank calls.
No, that's a skipper. That's a skipper. But no, I mean, this album is just so short, so palatable, and just perfect for Integrity. Even if you have a different album that's your favorite, I think that like most people could agree, like, this is maybe the best entry point for people that haven't heard them before.
When this album came out that week, like right around then, I had gone with a friend of mine who I met at Northeastern, who was from Albany, and we went to Albany. We were supposed to see Killing Time and 25 to Life and One King Down, and Killing Time canceled and Terror Zone played. And the only thing I remember about Terror Zone is they played like a bunch of Cro-Mags covers. And Rick to Life was there, obviously, because 25 to Life played, and he had a floor length Carolina Blue Triple Fat Goose jacket on. Shout out to Triple Fat Goose. But that weekend we went to the record store, and this had just come out, and I bought it on CD, and we listened to this CD. We listened to the music on this CD the entire way from Albany back to Boston that weekend. Like, it's just like, it was so new because like holy shit, vocal test, like the first time hearing that was just crazy. But just like that, the whole 10-inch over and over. And we haven't even mentioned, Pusshead art, like
Yeah.
getting into
Best
that
album
world
cover.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Daniel, are you familiar with Terrorzone?
No.
Oh, do you?
Oh.
So
Oh,
it's the Bulldoze band right after Bulldoze.
post Bulldoze, Kev One.
Yep.
Respect.
Yep.
You won't have me saying a bad thing.
Nope. You know how much I love Bulldoze.
I
so
don't-
that was nice.
I don't want to catch nothing but one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they played like 3 originals and like 4 Chromax covers. It was great.
I bet that was fucking hard as shit.
Dude, at the QE2, I don't know if you've ever like QE2 is like this club in Albany that's just like total dive, but there's a railing at the front of the stage, and like all the Albany locals like have like moves they do off of that railing.
Is that the club where they have a kind of a green room-ish area upstairs?
I never played there, so I don't know.
Okay.
And
played-
Daniel was playing places in Albany with green rooms. I think
That's right.
Meanwhile, my band was playing the VFW hall in the adjacent Albany town that had 75-cent beers on tap.
Cohoes.
I can't remember the name of the town, but yeah, it was right next to Albany. Okay, Cleveland, let's go to you for your number 5.
Number 5.
He gave you the full name, Cleveland.
I know that's pretty fun.
Actually, it has evolved from. It did evolve from Cleveland. It evolved from Brian Cleveland to Clevo. So
Yeah.
I'll answer to all of them. I'm going to go with a bit of a weird left field pick here. I'm going to take Outface, Abel's brother.
I thought someone was going to take Outface, and
Again-
probably the local.
This is this is another one that's just like, to me, it's really important. It's probably not a popular pick. I don't care. Outface as a band evolved quite a bit from they were like their first demo, which they pretty much disavowed. Their first demo is really like skate rock inspired. Their second demo, which some of the songs from the second demo end up on this record, it takes more of a DC turn. And then by the time this record comes out, Charlie had already been playing. He played guitar in Quicksand on their first tour. So it has more of that post-hardcore, quicksandy groove to it. There are some like reggae parts, and there's horn parts on this record and everything. I mean, Rob, you probably have seen tons of these from your Crisis Records days.
Yes, I have.
But this song itself, Abel's brother, it's the opener on the album, and it's heavy. It's got groove. The vocals. So Derek went on after this to sing in Sepultura. Actually, this band, after Outface, this band went on. Charlie went on to be in Civ, and then and is now in Judge, and I believe he's in Gorilla Biscuits now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Frank, who played bass, he played in Integrity, second guitar in Integrity for a while, but he was in the band Filter.
Hey man, nice shot.
Hey man, nice shot. And then Mark, the drummer, played drums on Systems Overload. So they all went on to like other stuff, but yeah, this I don't think that this is the best representation of this band, but I really just wanted to get out there and say something about them because much like I said about Herba before, Charlie was also someone who was like super welcoming into the scene, and they were different from all the other stuff that was going on. So like, you had Confront playing like this like straightforward Youth Crew style. Die Hard, who became Integrity, were playing, the Die Hard was, more Youth Crew style, morphed into Metallic. You had Face Value doing their thing. And then Outface was like an outlier where they, they were just a little bit different. So, but this was just another band that we all supported and we all loved. And yeah, like I said, this is not the best representation of them as a band. And they also morphed quite a bit between their recordings because there's quite a bit of time too. Like this doesn't come out till 92. They were supposed to do another band, but then that just fell apart. And then, you know, Charlie did Civ, and then Derek went to Brazil, and you know, the rest is history.
They get ethered on Wikipedia because it says stylistically their music varies between rock, metal, and punk with ska elements, not unlike the early works of Red Hot Chili Peppers. The worst.
Ooh, yeah. There's definitely not. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, I would say they're not that Chili Pep. I mean, I would say they're kind of more like a cross between kind of Living Color meets something out of like DC, like Kingface or something, or you know, there's a little bit of funk reggae stuff going on, but yeah, I mean, I think they're an underrated band. I mean, they're super talented, and I think it's a good choice. People should explore that band. You know, Charlie is the only person I've met from that band, and he's a wonderful person. But yeah, I think that it's interesting when, you know, someone who was there and actually got to see them a bunch, like kind of talks about how they were viewed. Cause you always wonder, you know, to your point, you know, you have all these different types of hardcore bands, like hardcore bands going on, and, you know, how do they fit into that? And it's cool to know that people actually were into it and supported them because, you know, they're a good band for sure.
Actually, one of the first like club shows I went to on my own was Outface when they were playing on their like their first demo, with like a bunch of just other local bands. And yeah, they're just like, I think also it's like a time and place thing because like, you know, you figure like 88, 89, there's not a lot of bands. So if you're playing any sort of punk or any sort of hardcore, you're getting on shows together. It's not like now where it's like I can put like 5 youth crew revival bands on a show and package that, or like put like 5 like street punk bands on a show and package that. It's like, oh, these are what the bands are playing. So it's like, oh, Confront, Outface, Die Hard playing a show together wasn't out of the ordinary, you know? So like, yeah, but there's no, I wouldn't give them like much of a funk thing because like, there's no like slapping going on. There's no like slapping the bass.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, there is some like Charlie's doing some shit. There's like some wah pedals in there and like some funky guitars, and there are horns like on some of the songs. But like on this song, which is not on the demo, this is only on the 12-inch. This song is like straightforward. It's definitely got that like post Eye Against Eye / Living Color. I think Living Color / Eye Against Eye is a good thing. Kingface is another good one to compare them to.
Do you know what's so funny in like a pre-internet world when you're, you know, being turned on to bands or you're reading about bands or you're deep in like the Enemy or Spin or whatever, you know, when bands come along into your, you know, purview, like it's funny, like Kingface, Outface, and Pigface all kind of came into my consciousness around the same time. So it's so funny that like in my brain, they're all mixed up, even though they have very different sounds, you know?
Yeah.
But that's, you know, like what happens when you're, you know, reading about them, then you go buy a tape at the warehouse or whatever. You know?
Like I said, this is another band that, you know, no one's going to buy a discography from this. Like it's not going to sell, like, unfortunately, but like, and again, they've disavowed their first demo, but I love their first demo. And I wish someone, like, if anyone's listening to this and has the first demo and wants to send me the MP3 tracks, I would be happy, or put them on YouTube so I can listen to them. Cause I haven't heard that demo in years. But yeah, I love this band. So Cool.
Let's make that 185 miracle happen. Let's get those MP3s to Clevo. And let's go to Rob for your number 5.
Right, number 5. I'm gonna keep my Urba streak alive, and I'm going for Nine Shocks Terror, Yeti Smasher. Another great Urba band. I mean, even though he didn't sing in this band, I believe he played bass, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, this band is so good. Another just ripping like thrash punk band. Super great live. Got to see them one time. And yeah, I love this band. And I wish more people would go back and revisit this catalog. Hopefully they do after hearing this podcast. Cause if you like, bands like, Ragged SS and Life's Halt and that type of stuff, this is like right in line with that great thrash punk stuff. And the singer's vocals are so good. I don't know the singer's name, the top of my head, or who he is, but yeah, just Steve. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, great front man. Just wild shows. Yeah, so that's my pick.
Yeah, this band, to me, when I first heard them, and they came to California, I thought they sounded like a sped up version of Filth, like super, like ripping vocals like that, and amazing like speed and presence and just chaotic version of Filth.
This is one of the greatest song titles ever.
Yeah.
And this album title, I mean,
yeah,
they got it.
Is this Zen in the Art of Beating Your Ass?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this album rips.
I mean,
yeah.
Again, I don't know, like I don't know how much Urba had to do with like lyrical content on this or like whatever, but yeah, like it's Urba. Like what else can you say?
Yeah. His footprints are all over it. You can tell. Yeah, it's great band, and I hope they. Yeah, it'd be awesome if they ever do shows again or do anything like that, or if we can ever go to shows again. Because if they do, I would love to see them play.
All right, I'm going to take my number 5, and I'm going to take the other Gun song off that the New Hope LP. This one is called Locked Inside, and opposed to like the other one that's like, oh, they wrote like the perfect like late 70s Black Flag song. Like this one is like they kind of do the other punk formula, right? Where it's like the slow tempo, this catchy, like kind of like that Negative Approach song Evacuate, kind of like that tempo on the beginning. But it's kind of catchy in the way that like one of those longer Suicidal Tendencies songs would be, like I Saw Your Mommy or something like that. Although this song is only like a minute long, which is so great. So they have like, they hit on that tempo and then they do like this break part, which it was funny, Clevo, because when you said like you can understand everything these guys say, I can understand everything they say except for I have no idea what they're saying on those parts.
Yeah.
And then it just goes blazing fast for like 10 seconds at the end, like just full fucking YOLO, and then hits like those break parts again, and then it's out. And it's just like, oh my God, how did they write like the perfect slow to fast hardcore song and like the perfect like mid-tempo punk song? And they got like 2 songs, like they just knocked both of them out of the park. And I think I know my button. Yeah. They just fucking nailed it. So yeah, I'm stoked to get this on, and hopefully everyone checks out the playlist, and like Rob was saying, more people get into Nine Shocks Terror. Hopefully people like discover the Guns, and maybe someone will figure out they'll listen to Devo for the first time. Who knows? All these
on Spotify there are 2 Guns releases. There's the huge discography, and then there's another one that's only a couple songs. That was actually re-recorded recently, so you want to make sure that you listen to when you listen to the tracks, they're on the it's the discography that was on Smugvale that came out recently. It has that young, punky urgency. Like you said that, I'm Not Right has that Black Flaggy, feel, but like the beginning of this song has that like creepy crawl vibe to it, like you could just see like kids like getting on the dance floor with their engineer boots and their spurs, like from Decline of Western Civilization. It's this band is criminally underrated. Again, if they would have been from either coast, they would have been much more recognized. And instead of listening to like 7 versions of the same song and like the outtakes and stuff, like if there would have just been like a straight up 7-inch, this would be a record that would trade for tons of dollars right now.
Right, because it's like the right time frame for that, 83, 84. Like it would make total sense to be a 7-inch. Because we've talked on the pod before about like why the Pagans aren't as like well renowned as maybe they should be, and that is because they're a 77 band. They do a bunch of singles, but don't necessarily have like that classic LP to like point to is a possible reason why like they're not looked at as like the Dead Boys or something, right? I mean, sonically, like I think is just as good.
But the Pagans are also they're well recognized in that like Killed by Death scene where it's like, because they put out those crazy rare 7-inches that like they're totally like record collector punk, but like they're great. Like there's plenty of those record collector bands that are great, but they just didn't get out there. They're from Cleveland and their records didn't really get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel, let's go to your number 6. You got 2 left.
Oof. Okay, so this means I'm leaving Systems Overload off because I'm going Integrity, Bringing It Back. Now, this song is so fucking rad. The fact that it's a straight edge anthem that sounds like it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's so murky and evil and dark and so hard. And you can tell because, I mean, there's a gorilla in the corner of the room that we're not discussing because they're horrible humans. But One Life Crew, which sonically, that LP is absolutely fucking incredible sonically. Obviously, content-wise, not the greatest, especially after that LP when they really revealed themselves to be disgusting humans. But you can see that the Confront have One Life Drug Free, then Integrity reference One Life Drug Free, and then One Life becomes this kind of Cleveland Crewishness that it's all based on this, or my gathering of it is. But let's just talk about one part of this song that is so incredibly important. A double. Okay, that and Side by Side going Alex are the 2 best call outs for a guitar.
Come on, dude.
Roger yelling out Stigma, show some respect. Put some respect in your voice.
Yeah.
Okay, I agreed.
But number 1.
My enjoyment is Alex number 1, A double number 2, Stigma number 3.
Ooh.
So yeah, I can make you feel as comfortable as you like, but my record collection reflects this. But the A double part, come on. How fucking sick is it? And then, like all good straight edge anthems of this era, they're not as straightforward like Youth Crewy. This and Earth Crisis sing about demons and hellscapes and streets being smashed apart by lightning. Do you know what I mean? It's like they go into the fantasy route, which as a young edgeman used to just make me like if I X up right now, I might be able to fly. So Bringing It Back by Integrity, what a fucking killer song, and I'm glad it's on my list.
Yeah, and for like how serious they become, like this has got that line, the tree line, that and to the survivors lost in the shadows of our tree.
So yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if that's referencing on the first Outface demo. There's a song called "On the Tree." I don't know if that's referencing that. That might be conjecture on my part. One thing I love about this song is you can totally hear Mean Steve's voice in the backups. Like his voice like stands out. Like you can pick his voice out from the backups so well.
Yeah, you really can. You really can.
If they were trying to own that band with that line, it's like, we're going to own you with the worst line in the history of our band.
No, I think they might be like, I think
it's
that's
an
reverential.
It's an homage.
Homage. I think it's reverential. Like,
okay. All right, sick.
And also,
but it's still the worst line in the song.
Well, yeah.
The worst line in their catalog.
Yeah, but what about bringing it back, wrapping that chain around their throats? That's fucking hard.
Truth. Yeah. I mean, there's actually a lot of lines in there that are I'm skeptical about. Fists of Truth. That whole like spoken word intro where
it's so sick. It's so sick.
But did you ever actually listen to what he says? Fire to the flame and the ash to the name. Let him know it wasn't me.
I love it. It's mystery. It's Clevo mystery. It's perfect.
It's like an angry Pat DeBar. Like it's like it's Integrity's when there's silence.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm on the 89 tour.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah, see, they saw it on the 89 tour, right? They went through Cleveland. They probably saw it and like, dude, we need to have a spoken word moment in our song. It's going to be like this.
I can't remember. I don't know if we talked about this, but dude, I did see Uniform Choice on the 89 tour and holy shit, they were so fucking good.
I believe it.
Which, by the way, Outface opened that show, but that's neither here nor there.
Going back to this and going back to whispering intros about flames and whatnot, it's obvious Dwid's played D&D, right? He must have played D&D.
We actually talked about it, and he never has.
What?
Liar.
I don't know. I just made that up.
What's your favorite Henry Rollins? What's your favorite Henry Rollins song?
But I think, yeah, it's a great song, But my favorite part about the Integrity saga was this record comes out. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, this is great 7-inch. Get that because single, and then Those Who Fear Tomorrow. And then I'm reading. I love to read liner notes, and I'm reading the liner notes of Those Who Fear Tomorrow. It's like, we drink beers and eat chicken wings at so and so's tavern. You're all fools for believing in us. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I know the ultimate rug pull.
Oh yeah, and then you kind of learn like, well, that's Integrity. It's part of the magic.
They're heels. Yeah.
It's so good.
Like Urba like does songs about wrestling, and all of that. But Integrity are the actual heels, like doing kayfabe for real. Like you don't know what's is Dwid straight edge or not? Has he killed someone or not? All of these things. I love it.
What about
especially pre-internet?
What about when Integrity came back when it was on the Systems Overload tour and Dwid shows up in Jordans and camo shorts and a Duke jersey and a bleached out pause top and then that really spreads the rumors oh, is Dwid straight edge again blah blah blah
he had fucking construction gloves on in that outfit it's just fucking going for it and I'm loving every minute.
It's great.
Yeah. Shout out to Al Caltrans. And Clevo, let's go to you for your number 6.
So I'm going to stay on the Integrity train here because I'm shocked that it took me this long to get to Integrity. This is kind of a testament, though, to that band because they have so many songs that you could pick for this.
Yep.
But I'm going to go to a record we haven't picked anything off of yet, Systems Overload, and I'm going to pick Jimson Isolation. Truth be told, I would have picked the comp version of this, but since that's not on Spotify, we're gonna go with the Systems Overload version.
You're really bedging it up right now.
But I think the comp version is so much better. And again, I want people to be able to hear these. Not that they're gonna vote for me, but yeah, this is.
I'm sure you'll be doing your rallying.
Clevo, I think aren't you 1-1? Didn't you win the Boston?
No, I didn't win. You won.
Oh, hey. Victory lap.
You were really close though, Clevo.
Yeah, close isn't winning.
Yeah, I was left in the dust as usual.
Sorry.
This is another song that you can definitely hear Steve in the backups. Yeah, this is. I feel like this is when that record came out. The comp, this was on the comp, and then it's on the LP, because like I said, like this LP kicks off with like a very typical Integrity riff, and then like the song just goes right into like an A double solo, and then it's just like that first song is just like a whole solo, and that kind of sets up the whole album. There's some like mid-tempo stuff on it too, but like I just think that this song is more of a callback back to, the time like Those Who Fear Tomorrow, and like just sort of that era. It's kind of a callback. Yeah, I love the song. We also brought up Evacuate recently. On the comp, they do Evacuate, and this song is on the comp. So it's like they kind of go hand in hand to me. But yeah, this is, again, a testament to a band that just kept putting out solid records, like again and again and again. And then like, the Melnicks, or A double at least, but the brothers themselves have gone on to like do other bands. Like we talk about a lot, like hardcore bands putting out like one LP, and that's great, and bands that put out two LPs. Like, how many LPs have the Melnicks played on?
Yeah, a million. I mean, they did that Inmates band that's really good too.
Yeah, Inmates rule.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I wasn't going to bring them up, but.
All right. Well, I'm glad this album got represented. And Rob, let's go to you for your number 6.
Well, I can bring up what was just brought up, but I'll save it since I'm not from there, and maybe Clevo's going to pick them. But I'll go back to Pagans. Not Now, No Way. I love this song. It's like, so you can hear like the bands that they were influenced from the UK, but then who they influenced here in the States. I think you hear like, Mission of Burma and Husker Du, like kind of ran through this song. And yeah, this is my favorite Pagan song. And I hope people listen to the playlist and get to hear how fucking great this song is and how great this band is in general. But this song in particular is my personal favorite.
Yeah, I think we did this one on one of the side A, side Bs. I think this is with the B side, I Juvenile. But yeah, this song,
correct.
It goes against a lot of the stuff that I like. Like, they really drag it out here at the end, but it's just a testament to how catchy of music they can write. Like, I just don't want it to end. Like, just keep singing it, dude. Give me another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, very well done.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's see. I'm going to take my number 6, and it's time for me to take an Integrity song. And Daniel, if you give me permission, I'm gonna do a little Dan Sant. I'm taking Descent Into and Darkness. I might like the version. I wouldn't say that. I like the production on the LP more for Darkness, but I do love the way that Dwin sings on the comp 7-inch version, like the way that he staggers it out a little bit more. And maybe he's got a little bit more range on that version. But with this long, like, clean channel intro of Descent Into and then Darkness, when it finally kicks with like the, coming in on the toms, and then this is the greatest early Integrity song, I think, for like them writing an epic. Like the leads here they're like 80s heavy metal, like great 80s heavy metal level also, right? Like this is not like a hardcore band doing a solo that's pretty good. This is like, I don't know, in my head, it's like right up against Metallica, you know? And just where they put them and just the whole trajectory of this song is absolutely perfect, especially with the intro. So yeah, I had to take an Integrity song finally. This is my favorite Integrity of all time. So I'm pretty stoked that I got it at number 6. But go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say it was on my list as like on the cusp, but I knew it was going to get on there because I remember the side A, side B. You said this was your favorite Integ song, so
you do me a favor, bud, and didn't pick it.
Yeah,
me? Appreciate it.
I didn't screw you over.
I love it.
Crazy question: are there 3 versions of this song, or is the comp version the same as the cassette single? The cassette single version.
Well, I think it's the same version.
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
I think that was the same.
At age,
I think it is too. Yeah, this might be this is definitely like a top 5 Integrity song for me. I think that the cassette single, the single version of it, that single really, I can't remember if I said this before, but that really like marked the shift from like being like a Metallic Youth Crew band sort of to like really like going for it. And that's like their turning point. I love this song, whatever version of it. Definitely one of my favorites. I love like
this sounds like Turning Point.
No, it's their turning point.
I'm just kidding.
They made their fucking choice.
I love the bass slide where it just cuts out and the bass slide just goes down. That's like, it's such a good part.
This is interesting too. Like we keep going back to how important the bass is on Integrity songs. Like, I mean, this is another example that exactly what you just said, that break and that bass slide, like out of nowhere, like you're not expecting that. Normally you'd expect some scream or a drum fill or a guitar noodle, but no, you get this bass slide and it's sick as fuck.
And a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Like the way that line is delivered, so great.
So good.
And is that a chain diss or not?
Possibly.
I don't know, but it's crazy that this has literally just become the Integrity podcast.
I mean, there's a chance it was going this way. And
of course.
Yeah. I mean, just their catalog is so big and they have so much great shit.
Well, that's the thing. When I was looking at it and I was writing down Integrity song after Integrity song, I was like, is this a shithead thing to do? Or am I being true to myself? And if I'm going to pick all the songs that come from an area, like these are the most important to me, So I stayed true.
All right. Well, Daniel, let's enter to that heartbreaker round and take your final pick.
Ooh, it's not going to be that much of a heartbreaker because, I think I've exhausted the Integrity thing at this point. So even though it's heartbreaking to leave so many Integrity songs aside, I am going with One Chance by Committed off the Pride We Share 7-inch. This is, could have made it into our Magnus Opus 10-hour-long Youth Crew Revival podcast where we talk about everything. And I do believe we mention them, but this song is so fucking rad. Like, and the thing that it's recorded so well, and I don't know if it was recorded at Mars or not. I should have probably done a little research to see if something so positive and alive could come out of Mars sounding so good.
It may have been because I feel like we had an in when we recorded In the Red demo.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really love it. It's catchy. It's fucking 2 fingers pointing forwards, Sharpie on the back of the hand, and the fast breakdown. I always love an upbeat breakdown, as you well know, and this song does it really fucking great. Great band. I wish I'd seen them. I never got to see them.
I got to see them several times. They came to the West Coast. They
Yeah,
played.
I know. I never. I didn't.
Were you
go.
were you in the Navy still?
I was.
Were you?
They have. There's
They came in. They came in '98, right?
Yeah, they came summer '98 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Discogs has a typo. It's the first song they have listed as One Change, not One Chance.
Yeah.
How about that? But yeah, they were cool. They're killer. I like the 7-inch a lot.
I love his voice because it sits in between Capo ripoff and his own sound. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a nod to that, but it's not full on like, yo, I'm doing a Capo voice.
He's going for Unit Pride, dude.
He definitely dude, it's CK1 and the Golden Pipes, man. They're great. I mean, yeah, he's doing a Capo, he's doing an Antidote, he's doing a Eric O.
But he's got his foot off the gas. It's not pushing down on the gas pedal. You know what I mean? It's like it's there, but it's not overt.
It is. It's a more monotone snarl. It's really good.
Yeah, his voice sounds great.
Yeah,
and with all good Youth Crew sounding records, the backups are placed in the most perfect spots. Anyway, that's my final pick. I was gonna go Gordon Soley, motherfuckers, Tears of a Clone, because A, it's an absolute ripper of a song. B, I love the Smokey Robinson nod with the song title, but it's not on Spotify, so it was between Committed and this, and maybe Committed's not even on there.
I don't think Committed's on Spotify either.
Yeah. So, but I went with this over that because I feel it needed to be mentioned.
Do you think this suffered from like this could have been on a different label and possibly would be out there more?
Yeah, if this was on Indecision or Bridge 9 at the time, I think it would have done way better and
that's the problem is 98, what you were on Victory, you were on Rev, you were on Equal Vision, or you were on, whatever. I think Punk Uprisings was loosely affiliated with Rev. Someone in the comments will tell me I'm wrong, so it's fine. But I think they were loosely affiliated with Rev.
I think they had distribution for them at the time, but
Rob, you can tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean they probably went through some sort of exclusive distribution deal through Rev at the time, but I know they weren't an imprint, a manufactured imprint, as far as I'm aware.
And also, it's this was put out in the U.S. and the Netherlands, so it was on. They were on Reflections in Europe.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with this, it suffers also being on the back end of the era. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's never going to be like the Tanner Fight Floor Punch era because those are earlier. The question would be if it came out on Teamwork or if it came out on Youngblood in '98.
Yeah, if it actually, Youngblood's the reference. Bridge 9 wasn't as recognized at that point, and Indecision was doing a lot more California based stuff. Youngblood is the perfect vehicle for the 7-inch if it had come out on it.
But I remember when this came out, because this is 98. We played in Columbus on the 98 tour, and Casey came out and I hung out with him for a bit there, and I don't know if he gave me the record then or whatever, but 10 Yard Fight still had a good year or so in the band when this came out. So it's on the downside, but in my eyes probably had 2 years left in them. And, we had a year left in us. Then,
I'm just saying, I'm saying historically remembered.
Yeah, but
because it didn't Kool-Aid man the wall down like
no.
Floor Punch and 10-Yard Fight, and In My Eyes did.
But I also feel like this probably should have gotten more recognition than it did.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really solid 7-inch, and it's got some really amazing songs, and this being my favorite of them.
This and the demo too. I think I hate to be that guy, but I think I prefer the demo. But yeah, I mean, I did a band with Casey and John, so like I definitely love this stuff. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because there's a lot of the Young Blood stuff isn't on Spotify either, and I think it's just a sign of the times. Like, there aren't that many bands of that genre that have like the lasting value to the mass population of people that still like hardcore. So I think that it really just is narrowed down to, Floor Punch, the 10-Yard Fight 7-inch, and In My Eyes mostly. Like people aren't singing the praise of like Rancor anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of lost to history. It's not on Spotify, and not like easy to find. You're not finding it in bins anywhere. Same with this. It's like not digital, and it's not easy to find the record.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a redone era. Some, like how Greg always talks about democore, like kids are finding like the most random, like offshoot democore, like, oh, this band was once done a breakdown practice, but all they did was record this one practice room song, and then a band pops up that sounds just like that one random offshoot thing. There's gonna be eventually like Google demos, like how you can find those obscure things by going to blog spots and whatnot. There's gonna be a resurgence of like the Rancor, Rain on the Parade, Committed, all those kind of things at some point.
I mean, why would they go to like Google and blogs and things when they can go to 185 miles south to learn about what the latest and greatest? Come on, Daniel. Where's your commitment?
Yeah.
I'm committed.
I know the guy who used to post on the Mullet board, or one of the other, myriad of hardcore message boards, Mark G. He rips a lot of demos to YouTube. So he's actually like a vital resource. He just has like a shitload of demos that he just like rips to YouTube.
Yeah. I love that.
Which is great. Like, cause you never know when you want to like, another shout out to John Millen, you never know when you want to hear the Set Street demo, like, but it's on YouTube thanks to Mark G. So, that's a good demo. Such a vital resource. Like,
respect to Mark G.
Someone just needs to curate all that stuff, like, there's been a fair amount of labels that have re-released things, and I think that some of this stuff, if one label grabbed it and put it all on like the same spot, even if it's like a digital type place, like there's a small market of us freaks out there that want this stuff.
Of course.
But yeah, okay, let's go to you, Clevo, for your 7th and last pick.
All right, so I'm definitely leaving a bunch of stuff on the table, but I want to give a shout out to Jim Kanya, R.I.P. I'm going to pick a gimmicky record. This is Satanic Threat. And the song is He's on the Cross. If you're not familiar with it, it is. So this is dudes from Nunslaughter, and I think Sean Philly, doing a Minor Threat influenced satanic hardcore record.
That was awesome.
It sounds more like Uniform Choice because the vocals sound like Dubar. But I'm just going to read off some song titles here. Guilty of Hating Christ. He's on the Cross. Small God, Big Cross. Satanic Threat. I Ain't Gonna Worship. Dude, it is a gimmick record, and I for one am not for gimmick records, but it's so well done. And it's like and Jim Kanya, it was a fixture in the Cleveland scene. He was in Nunslaughter. amongst other bands. He passed away a couple years ago, and it was a really big blow to a lot of people that knew him. But yeah, so he's on the cross, Satanic Threat. If you look it up, the cover looks like Out of Step, but instead of the black sheep, it's a black goat running away.
Oh.
Of course it is.
Do you want to live deliciously?
Yes. Wouldst thou? It's, I probably don't spin it a lot, but when I do, it is, again, the songs are good. Like I said, it sounds more like Dubar singing than Ian MacKaye. Yeah, check it out. It's great for what it is, and it's a gimmick and whatever, but also like shout out to Jim Kanye.
Hell yeah. Okay, Rob, let's go to you for your number 7.
My number 7. Number 7. I was going to go with Inmates because
they're great.
Because they're fucking great. But I just mentioned them, so they got a couple mentions, so we'll keep them as honorable mention. But I really want this Integrity song to get mentioned because I think it's highly underrated. It appears on a million different fucking comps now, but back in the day, it was only on the Mayday split 7-inch, and that's Kingdom of Heaven. So that song starts out so fucking dark and kind of has that slow, plodding Integrity style, and then it just ramps up into this fucking sick riff and great vocals, like great guitar work, just all of it. It's such a great song, and I hope people kind of go back and revisit that song because when I got that Mayday split 7-inch, it blew me away. Both sides of it, both bands are great, but that Kingdom of Heaven song is one of my top 5 Integrity songs for sure.
So good. Such a sinister song,
Yeah,
it's a perfect description.
Yeah, and just glad that Integrity got mentioned on this pod.
I didn't think they would, but did Daniel only pick Integrity songs?
Integrity plus Devo.
Oh yeah,
and Committed.
Yep, respect. All right,
it was going to be just Integrity plus Devo, but
if you want that shout out on Sports Center, you got to pick Committed. All right. Okay, I'm gonna take a Dead Boys song, and I got 3 to choose from. So
list them all and then tell us which one you're choosing.
Okay. Well, All This and More or Not Anymore. They're the 2 ballads, and I love this LP. It's one of my favorite LPs ever. And I think it's so bold that like the second song on the record, right after Sonic Reducer, which is like a total rager song, they go to like a ballad. And just like the way they build up to like that I'm Just a Dead Boy chorus is so ill in All This and More. And then Not Anymore. Oh my God, dude. The like that chorus, like the I don't care, don't push me away, you can't hurt me anymore. It's like, oh my God. And then that lead they do when they're doing like the single string like open chord, and then they do like a very simple lead over the top of it in between the verses. It's like one of my favorite things ever. But I'm gonna go raging and take Ain't Nothing to Do. Maybe it's just an up-tempo Dead Boy song, and it's got like one of the illest lines ever. Like that part, it's on. I don't know if it's a bridge or a chorus. The song is kind of unconventional. There's not like a big chorus in there, but like when there's those bridge parts, when he's like, "Maybe I'll beat up the next hippie I see. Maybe I'll beat up you." It's like, oh, it's just so ill. I don't know. It just kind of gives like that vibe that they give off on so many of their songs. Just like, I don't give a fuck, like it's perfect 77 punk, And so, yeah, I'm going to take that. Ain't Nothing to Do. Dead Boys off first LP. And
shout out to Cheetah Chrome being one of the wildest looking humans on the planet.
Yeah, man. Dana, you want to go to your honorable mentions?
Okay, so integrity.
Okay. Well, Cleva, how about your honorable mentions?
So yeah,
Wow.
the inmates definitely. I had cement shoes. One of the things about the records, is there's definitely some like skits slash, like extraneous stuff put on the record, but the songs speak for themselves. A lot of stuff that's just not really available or not well known. A band called The Dark, who, were kind of, again, around the same time as the Guns, are on a lot of the same comps that the Guns are on. They have more of a Rick Agnew / TSOL vibe. But they were another great band that sort of predated me that, morphed into other bands. Some demo core bands that I love, like False Hope, Hyper as Hell, Civil Disobedience, Domestic Crisis, bands that just like no one knows because, the demo core bands. We talked a shitload about Integrity and Ringworm. Some other bands, Apartment 213. If we want to talk about like straight up grind,
Gehenna Split.
they did have a split. They also had a 7-inch that Dwid put out on Dark Empire that starts out with a phone call that it's like, again, like pranky, skitty kind of stuff, but like the phone call at the beginning of the Apartment 213 7-inch is fucking ridiculously incredible. Confront. I wish there was more out there that we could listen to.
All right. Any other honorable mentions out there?
I had Inmates as well, and I had some other Nine Shocks and Gordon Soley stuff as well, and obviously all the Integrity songs in the world to add to honorable mention.
The Gordon Soley song where he does he mocks the Warzone skit, and he's like, I'm going to
get the Gordon girls.
I would say my honorable mention is the 1 hour and 10-minute Psy Warfare set that when there was no ins and outs at the Showcase Theater of just sheer bumming people out to the infinity of just playing noise at deafening levels, screaming through a megaphone into a microphone, and people couldn't leave and they're waiting for Integrity to go on was Man on the
Genius.
Moon, and he
Psy Warfare was ahead of their time, because if they would have waited, like they could have made memes and been Insane Johnny. So
well, I was tortured and everyone else there was tortured, but I'm gonna have to, give it up in hindsight of the torture and punishment that they brought upon the crowd. So respect for that.
All right, I had 3 songs off the Face Value 7-inch. What It Meant, Holding the Grudge, and Nothing to Prove, that unfortunately didn't get on the list. And I had a Final Plan song, the 114-2001. That breakdown at the end, the da 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 da, so good.
So is that Casey Final Plan, or
yeah, it's a 7-inch. It's with Casey singing. Yep. Okay. I think that this was a nice long Cleveland episode. We went over 2.5 hours, I believe. So yeah. Anything else to wrap on, Daniel, other than Psy Warfare?
No, I just want to say I love talking hardcore with you guys and talking hardcore with the listeners.
Yeah, man. This is a great city to do because, from the Dead Boys to Integrity, they're hitting like the apex in lots of different spots. Just a diverse place for music where over many decades, amazing stuff came out of there.
I will admit in this wrap up that I need to listen to the Pagans a lot more because I'm not as familiar, and I should.
So good.
I think that one thing can definitely be told from the playlists when we see them. one, either we don't know what's going on or it's just not out there. But like, Cleveland didn't end with. I'm trying to think of what the newest thing on there, and it might have been the Satanic Threat record. But Cleveland didn't end with that, and I'm sure that there's stuff happening in Cleveland that we just didn't get to. So someone should put that in the comments. So we should first stuff for us to check out, because I feel like we definitely have a niche that we talked about tonight, and the niche we talked about was great, but I'm sure that there's way more out there that we're missing.
It's hard with 7 songs, but it's also hard listening to any podcast that goes over 2 hours. So
true.
Yeah. Well, rad. I think everyone did a great job, and everyone check out the playlist for the episode that is up now. And Daniel will be posting on Instagram this week, so you can decide whose list is the best, and maybe vote for Daniel. He's getting a little sensitive about
No, I'm just kidding. I threw. I don't care if anyone votes for me or not. I just like playing up the wrestling vibes of calling out my competitors for politicking too much.
Daniel tries to be sympathetic.
While I'm politicking and voting with other Instagram handles.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Most of his votes came from his other Instagram handles.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll wrap it up.
A double.
All right.